Welcome back to Kevin's Whole Reads. I'm at the craft store recording. Just kidding. This is my parents' home. This is obviously not my aesthetic here, but yeah. I actually came over here because, well, they needed my help with something, and I texted them, say, hey, I'll be over shortly, and I haven't heard anything, and I figured they were here, and so I came here, and then the house is empty. And so I was carrying around this note because I wrote down this book tag and planned on doing it at some point, and I'm like, you know what? This is perfect. I feel like Kevin from Home Alone. I've got the house to myself. This is like back in the day when I was a teenager. I got the place myself. I could kick the shoes off, run around in my underoos. No. But yeah, I have a book tag, and I like this one because it makes you think. It's not just the same old questions asked in a different manner. And so this book tag is the name of it. I'm summarizing, I'm guessing here. The name of this is book tag, the sequel to itself. And so I was tagged by Meg at Books Off the Beaten Path. She was tagged by James at Quaint and Curious Volumes. And he was tagged by, he wasn't tagged. He picked it up from a channel, the originator, KD Books. So I will link below. Once I find their videos, their takes on this, I will put that below. I've watched Meg's and James'. I haven't watched KD Books, so I'm going to do that and then grab the three of those booktubers, and I'll put their videos in the description below, along with the 5 questions that are part of this book tag. So let's jump right in. I like these. Question 1. Do you feel obligated to read? There's 2 answers. The short answer is absolutely not. I read for enjoyment. I like reading. I don't read a lot, or don't watch a lot of TV, and so reading is kind of my pastime if I'm not doing other things. For me, it's working, family stuff, walking, hiking, or reading. I used to watch a lot of TV, a lot of movies, a lot of sports. I just don't anymore. So I never feel obligated to read because I enjoy it. That's my hobby. That's my short answer. My longer answer is I don't feel obligated to read in the sense like, someone sends me something, so now I'm obligated to read it. Now, when I first started my channel, I felt obligations to read if it was someone that actually took the time to send me something, like an independent author. Or I felt obligated to read if I was doing buddy reads and reading events to some degree. But for me, I think back then I was always feeling some obligations to read just because I was always constantly overextending myself and committing to too much. And that's what created the obligation. Oh, I got to get this read because I told him I would, versus setting myself up where it wasn't that much of a burden because I didn't commit to 5 buddy reads and live streams every month, So there's that. Question 2. Numbers aren't everything. Agree or disagree? Well, if we're talking numbers in the sense of books read, how you rate them, Goodreads numbers, rankings, stuff like that, absolutely. I think those are all subjective. I think they give you a good guide. I think the amount of books people read varies heavily because people read at different speeds. People have different obligations. They're in different parts of their lives. Some have kids, some don't. And so it's varying difference of, it's not one person versus one person. It's not apples and apples. It's sometimes apples versus oranges. So you have to remember that. If we're talking numbers aren't everything in terms of BookTube and YouTube numbers, like subscribers, views, yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. Numbers aren't everything because a lot of those numbers are projections. A lot of those numbers are bots. It's not real people. I feel like I've got a core group of probably 150 subscribers on my channel that are regulars, and they'll comment frequently. At least sometimes on some of those 150, there's probably a good 50 or 70 that will comment almost every video. But there's a good group of 150, 200-ish that will make the rounds, and I will hear from them, and I'm always happy to hear from them, which is why I shout them out my reading wrap-ups. So Yeah. But that's only a sixth of my subscriber base. And so, yeah, the numbers aren't everything. And when it comes to BookTube, it's bots. It really is. You can't. When I was first starting my BookTube journey, like I would watch the numbers a little more heavily because I thought that was how I gauged if things were successful, if I needed to change things up. Now I'm just like, I'm going to do my own thing. And the people that comment are the people that comment. I'm going to read what I want. And yeah, more is not better. So, anyways, number 3. Do you feel pigeonholed? Do you feel you need to make content on certain things? No. I think I probably felt a little pigeonholed when I first started again, but no, not at all. I don't feel pigeonholed at all. I read what I want. I've been branching out a lot. And if, in fact, I would argue that I probably need to pigeonhole myself a little more, but pigeonhole is probably not the right word. I would need to corral myself a little more, get a little more narrowed focus on specific genres, specific authors, because I branch so much out and I love so much about so many different genres, so many different authors that it's hard to make decisions, which is a good problem to have. But still, it's one of those things like, and that's what I've talked about a little bit, probably more than what you want to hear, that in 2026, I'm going to narrow it down a little more, narrow the series that I'm reading, concentrate on specific ones, and then narrow some of the mood reads down into specific genres, because I want to focus more on, those. But yeah, well, that's probably more so applicable for me. Number 4, are you reading for the algorithm? No, not even remotely close. For a couple of reasons. A while back, when I first started, I was naive enough to, when it came to new releases, especially from authors I like, I always get like upset because I was like, I wanted to read it in the moment it came out, and then I wanted to get a review up because I think people would enjoy that. And there'd be people that would be putting reviews up, bigger channels. I'm not trying to compete with them, don't get me wrong, but they would have the review up the day that the book released because they're getting arcs of it weeks in advance. And so I was like, what the heck? That's like rigged. But anyways, so yeah, I'm not reading for the algorithm. Plus, I don't read a lot of mainstream stuff anyways. I do like, I'm coming to certain stuff that is considered more, I guess, mainstream, more popular, but I'm coming to them years in the rears. If you look at Harry Bosch, I mean, it's been out forever. And here I am, on book 6 or whatever. I've got a long way to go, but I'm enjoying the heck out of it. I finished the Evan Tanner series. And I had a comment, I think it was like about a year ago, from a gentleman, I think was in India, I think. And he was like, you're the only one I know on YouTube that's putting videos out about this character in these books. And I'm like, yeah, I know. And although that series was pretty good for the first half, the latter half was a kind of a stinker for me, but I'm the only one that's put content out about it. And so, yeah, I mean, and there's not a lot. I mean, there's some Western channels out there, but you don't hear Westerns there's not a lot about those. You can get really genre specific, and there are a lot of channels that have gotten specific to genres, whether it's fantasy, sci-fi, or a combination of a couple. But yeah, I mean, I don't really feel like I'm reading for the algorithm. I traditionally wait for the newest releases until they come out, and I know they're going to be marked down at used stores or through thrift books and whatnot. So I traditionally wait before I read some of those books, and unless I can get it cheap on Audible. So yeah. And then number 5, what's the worst part of content creation for books? Recording. It will always probably be the worst part. I go back and forth of just wanting to record it, upload it. No edits, no chapters, no thumbnails, just raw. It's so much easier. But there is definitely, I liked adding some humor, some memes, some pictures in pictures. I like doing some thumbnails. I like messing around with AI and helping me create some different kind of, visual thumbnails. But yeah, I mean, I like playing some sounds, especially when I'm making fun of other people, but yeah, that's the hardest part is the recording. It is always going to be that because, I have some standards that I want this to be but at the same time, authenticity matters too. So some screw ups, some background noise, it's not gonna be that big of a deal. It's not a deal breaker. I mean, you've all watched videos from me and you've heard the train in the background. I don't know how many times. So yeah. But anyways, those are the questions. And so again, I want to thank Meg at Books Off the Beaten Path for tagging me in this. Thanks to James at Quaint Curious Volumes for tagging Meg. And thanks for Katie Books for creating the tag. I will tag their videos below along with a group of folks that I think I may be interested in doing this tag. I think this is an interesting one. It doesn't really get too down in the weeds, but it makes you think. And I like these kind of book tags. So thanks again, Meg. I hope you all are doing well. I'll talk to you later. Thanks.